Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're talking about a very own Indian detective, an Indian version of Sherlock Holmes. It's not Feluda, it is Byomkesh Bakshy, made by Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay. So this is the book I have in my hands. It is an English book. This is an English translated version by Moni Maladhar, and it was initially in Bengali, right? So this is the 2003 version which I have with me. It's just the volume 1, so there's another volume to it. So those of you who do not know who Byomkesh Bakshi was, so he's a very famous detective in West Bengal, and his character is set in the 1930s and 1940s when there was a very significant thing happening in Calcutta that was called World War II. Not only in Calcutta, it was happening in the whole world. World War II and Calcutta, as soon as it was hit by World War II, crime evolved in Calcutta. And during the British colonial period, because in 1940s, 1930s, it was the end of the British period, right? So the central character, Byomkesh Bakshi, he's a private detective. He's known for his keen intellect and sharp observational skills. Now, when we talk about sharp observational skills, only one detective comes to our minds, and that is Mr. Sherlock Holmes. But the Indian version of that trait is Mr. Byomkesh Bakshi. And there's always a sidekick in detective thrillers, right? So these stories are primarily narrated by his friend and chronicler, who also goes on to write all his cases down. So the guy is named Ajit Bandyopadhyay. Later he's called Ajit Banerjee. But what would a traditional detective do? How can you picture him? I would picture a traditional detective with a cigar in his mouth, solving cases, thinking and solving and finding the killer and things like that. But Byomkesh was not a traditional detective. He called himself a seeker of the truth. Even if he could not catch the criminal, he would at least go till the depth of the case and try to find who the killer was or what happened. So he'll always go for seeking of truth. So his approach to solve crimes is rooted in the deep understanding. So he's more dependent on the psychological and societal perspective, which most detectives are not these. The stories in this book generally revolve around complex criminal cases. So it starts from like general thefts that take place to to a lot of complicated criminal cases that also takes place. So there are stories that revolve with a lot of twist, with a lot of delicacies which are there, and there are interactions with his sidekick character who is called Ajit. And he's more of a recurring characters that come into the story. There are a lot of other recurring characters who also come, and they add a depth and a warmth. One thing that I love about Byomkesh Bakshi is that even if he's just going, he's not just solving cases. He's going beyond solving cases. He often seeks to uncover the root cause and the societal factors that contribute to such criminal activities. And throughout the series, there is not only these mysteries that make you involved and engrossed with the book, but also these subtly addressed societal issues that come up in the middle. One of the major positives that I love from this book is that it has a very engaging detective plot. The stories are not much in English. There's a lot of stories that you will find in Bengali, but the translated versions are there are two volumes. So one volume that I have read, I'm giving you a review of that volume, the first volume. So Sharadindu actually has created a very fine detective, and he's both brilliant and relatable. So that makes the mysteries very, very intellectually stimulating, but also emotionally engaging at the same time. So when there are the mixture of brilliancy and relatability, the character becomes that fine that he can emotionally engage you. At the same time, he can also intellectually stimulate your minds and brains. So I loved that number one factor about this book, that it has a very engaging detective plot. Number two being the character depth. I always love those authors who go into the depth of character. I myself try to build characters who go into the depth and who evolve over a period of time. So I think the detective is not just a brilliant mind, but also a well-rounded character. So his character goes into the depths. His interactions with the friend and the narrator Ajit, that adds depth to the stories. Although it's a very short book, there are short stories in it. Um, but I think the conversations he has also evolves the character at the same time. Third thing that I like about this book and the stories are that it is set in the backdrop of 1930s and 40s that capture the cultural and societal memories of that time, and that adds an extra layer because of richness, because the narrative improves, making them not just detective stories but also historical and cultural snapshots, because there are things that you don't see often anymore in Calcutta, but it existed during those periods of 1930s and 40s. And then again, moral and social themes are always there. It weaves, the author, he weaves brilliant moral and societal themes into his narratives. And Byomkesh's method of solving crimes often involves understanding the human nature and the societal issues that gives society a broader perspective. The only point where the current audience may not relate with this book is that this book was written in 1930s and 40s. So the quality of detective novels now have improved a lot, and a lot of audience of my age, maybe 17, 18, 19, that age group, would not like to read stories like Byomkesh Bakshi, but Byomkesh Bakshi is a legend and he should be read, keeping in mind that it was written in 1930s and 40s. So the quality of individual stories can vary. The quality of detective thrillers can vary over a period of time. Once you understand this particular fact, you can go on to read Byomkesh Bakshi, and he's a legend. And you should definitely check out Byomkesh Bakshi's stories, short stories. So there are 2 volumes. If you understand Bengali, then there's no. I think if you understand Bengali, then you would have probably read Byomkesh Bakshi. But if you don't understand Bengali and you are someone like me who would love to read the translated versions, so I'll provide the links in the description box below. I'm sorry. And do let me know if you like Byomkesh Bakshi, and if you have already read Byomkesh Bakshi, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you with a new episode next Sunday.